Hey folks, Sandy here with another episode of Gear Up. This time with the Rose City Rockers. The Rose City Rockers are a blues rock power trio from here in Windsor who kind of take their cue from a lot of the old 70s blues-infused rock and roll from that era. They're actually starting to gain a little bit of airplay too on internet radio, that sort of thing. They've come out with a few music videos, and yeah, I had a lot of fun catching up with these guys. I caught up with them while they were actually setting up for their last show at the Lionhead Tavern. So for those who don't know, the Lion's Head Tavern here in Windsor, it's been around forever. It's one of those bars that, you know, if you're a musician in Southern Ontario, you play at the Lion's Head, or at least you want to. So, before we get started, please like and subscribe the video. You can click the little button right in the corner. You'll be helping me out a lot. I'll also leave all the links to Rose City Rockers' social medias in the description. So please, let me know. Share the video. You'll be helping out a lot. And yeah, without further ado, the Rose City Rockers. Here we go.
Hi, I'm Michael Muscat from the Rose City Rockers, and we're here to kind of share my gear with you guys, and before we start doing our show tonight. So
that's awesome, man. I've been really looking forward to it. So
thank you very much for having me.
Happy to. All right, Mike. Let's see your basses. Let's go with that.
Absolutely.
First.
So here we are. We've got the Spectres. I only use Spectre basses exclusively live. I started with a Squire precision bass. Got a PV bass at home. I still have it. Great bass to cut my teeth on. And for you guys out there who are getting started in playing bass, they're wonderful basses to play. They've come a long way.
Squire has gotten a lot better over the years.
Absolutely, and they're great basses to play. A lot of fun, a good way to learn if you're learning out there and getting out there. And you know, it's a really nice entry-level bass to get into. But
sure.
I just needed something a little bit different for tone dynamics for when I'm playing live. So again, I've always been a favor of Spectre basses. So here's my Spectre Pulse 2, and it's a 5-string bass. It's got a nice maple cap finish, swamp ash body, which is really nice and lightweight. Very, very well bolt-on bass to work with. It's got the puck pickups. These are EMG active pickups.
Very nice.
And it's got a tone pump processor inside, so I can control, you know, basically as your volume. I've got the blend and then the treble and the bass.
Okay, so I'm assuming like this is like a sticker, right?
This is just a sticker from
Okay.
Dark Glass.
Okay.
We'll talk about that later when we get to the pedal board.
Awesome.
So yep, so that is a high mass bridge, which is really good for when you're playing live too. It's got some great stability to it. Very well balanced bass, even though it's a 5-string. She's got a bit of a wide body on it. It's got a nice roasted maple neck, quarter sawn, which is really, really nice for solidity. And you know, again, she responds beautifully. It's a great bass.
Well, that is an awesome instrument, my friend.
Thank you. This is actually my number 2. I use this as a backup.
Okay.
This is actually my number 1 bass.
Okay. Is it the same?
It's a Pulse 2, but it's only a 4-string.
Okay.
So I usually primarily use 4 because on our show we do mostly 70s rock, and it doesn't really call too much for the 5-string.
Okay. So what songs do you move to the 5?
I'll use this actually right now. I'm just using it as a backup. We have done Fat Bottom Girls. I'll do it with certain songs like that where I can throw in the 5-string. I will be introducing it more when we're doing our originals. Not so much on tonight, but in the future we'll be using it. I also pick up the 5-string because it was good for me to kind of expand my horizons a little bit and learn how to use it. It's a very interesting, it's a bit of a switch because you got to kind of go from, it's like God giving you an extra thumb, and you got to kind of figure out how to make it work.
100%. That's actually something I've personally found, like with a lot of gear. That is one of the benefits of buying new pieces of equipment, is it kind of pushes you around a little bit.
That's right.
Yeah.
It kind of gives you that challenge too, right? It's a beautiful challenge.
For sure.
So this one here is the one I've had for the longest. It's again the same idea, maple cap, swamp ash body. And again, a quarter sawn roasted maple neck. They do a really good job with these basses. Same thing, tone pump, but this has got the PBJ version, so you got the precision and the jazz, which again gives you a lot of versatility. Also, it's a reverse P, which is kind of cool because it kind of moves these pickups down closer to the bridge.
Okay.
So it adds a bit of punchiness to it.
A little bit of trouble?
Yeah, it's just something special. I think with Spectre, they really kind of figured this out, and they have a great relationship with EMG. So they really work well together. Same idea again as far as the knobs are concerned. You've got your volume control, your blend for the 2 pickups, and then your treble and your bass, and your treble. And this one's called Rosie. I actually have her name for her because she's sometimes you have to name your instruments. So,
hell yeah! Out of curiosity, what's the name of the other one?
This one here is called right now it's called Shadow.
Shadow.
It's kind of dark and kind of hard to see, so it's kind of so it's a little more masculine, bigger boy. And then this one here, I treat really right, and she's a beautiful bass, and I love it. It's so well balanced, so much fun to play.
Well, that's awesome, man.
It's a great bass. Yeah, and I always, again, I would always promote Spectre. They're great basses.
For sure. So what are you running them through?
I am running them through this Harkey. So it's the LX 8500, and it's an 800 watt head. It's a tube mix, so it's a tube and solid state, basically. It's got your basic controls, your shaping controls in here. You got a gain. You have a mute switch, which is kind of cool. You have a brightness control, which you can kind of control the brightness of the tone. It just kind of punches it up a little bit. Sometimes you kind of need it. Depends on where you are, and then the venues that you're playing in. And then you just got a master control and your typical EQing, which is great.
Perfect.
And I'm running it through the HD 410 cabinet, which I find is really nice. Again, the versatility, because of the size of the venues that we play, this is really that's all I need and demand. A lot of headspace.
Well, and I find you need a little bit more headspace when it comes to bass.
Absolutely. I got to get underneath, and I'm working in between what Joe does on the drums, and then I'm lifting to hit Jim's melody. So it's always nice to have that, again, that ability to be able to have that headspace and do that.
100%.
Eventually I'd like to have a 115 cab as well, and then I can, depending on the room, I can have them, and then I can just switch up from the rooms, or maybe one of these days when we start hitting the bigger venues, I'll be using both to kind of spread the sound.
Totally.
Which is where you want to be, right? So you want to be prepared. And the reason why I went with Harkey as well, I'm a huge fan of Billy Sheehan. So he exclusively used these, so I've been...
Sorry, you're a big fan of who?
Billy Sheehan.
Got it.
So he's a great bass player. His tone is like a nice tone, like the Chase, a nice piano key tone, which is really, really nice. Again, very punchy, gets through and gets the sound really, really well. And these cabinets are very durable, and they can, they can be a challenge sometimes, as you saw a little earlier. I had a little issue with the connection in the back, but they're very good and easy to open up and take a look at, and very simple wiring, so harnessing and all that. So we were able to get it going for the show tonight.
Beautiful. Now I did see you had, I think, 2 pedal boards going, didn't you? Or is it just one?
Yeah. So I have I have one pedal board that's going for the bass. So we'll talk about that one.
All right.
So this is an adapted pedal board that I acquired from when I switched from playing guitar to playing bass. So some stuff has been grandfathered in. My chromatic tuner, of course, the MXR phaser, which I use for a couple of the songs, especially some of the when I'm lifting his keyboard sounds. It kind of helps when I'm underneath him using the phaser. There's a chorus pedal in there, and just a general chorus pedal, and then an octave. I use that a couple of times here and there for certain songs, like Mississippi Queen and stuff like that. And then, of course, we got the fun monosynth there, which that's the newest of the addition to the board, and I'm still going through the learning curves with that one, but it's a lot of fun.
So what do you use the monosynth for?
For nothing for these songs, but we're going to be, in the future, we're going to be adopting it into some of the stuff that we're going to be doing. So, when we're doing some Deep Purple, I can be able to use that and combine it with the octave pedal, and then we can able to create that kind of piano or kind of almost like a Roland or kind of a really cool sound that we can get out of it. And I can kind of work with him, so that way I'm kind of doing both parts. I'm kind of doing the keyboard part along with hybriding the bass into it as well. So it's a lot of fun. Again, it's a beautiful challenge, and and out of that, I got my clock on there. That's good for us for our timing when we're on stage. Well, got to keep track.
And it's always good to know when you get your beer.
That too. Yeah, that's it.
So I noticed you got another little toy over here.
Yep. So that's my my Helicon. That's the my vocal processor. Because there's the two of us that sing, we like to, and because we're 70s, it's 70s music, we got a lot of it where we need to have those really wide voices and a lot of harmonies. So that will help me. I can run the bass vocal, and then it'll do the thirds, or I may do the thirds and it'll do the fifths. And it just widens the sound. We sound a lot more fuller as a band. sounds like we got a bit of a choir out here helping us out. But
You see, folks, music theory is always important. Thirds and
very,
fifths.
very important. Very, very important. At least the basis of music theory is very, very important. And understanding where you got to be vocally, because you still got to. Yes, you do have to use your ears, but you got to know where you're going, whether you're being root or third or fifths or sometimes even sevenths, which you can get a little bit. That's getting a little too in depth there, but yeah, for sure, absolutely. So,
Well, this was amazing, man.
Thank
I wish you kick some ass tonight.
thank you very much, man. I really, really appreciate it. And you know what? You're all your folks out there. So happy that you're here watching us, and glad you can join. And we're happy to be here and entertain for you. So,
Awesome, man. Rock on.
all right, thank you.
Yep. What's going on, man?
Hey Eric, Jimmy G here from the Rose City Rockers, guitar player, singer, chief cook and bottle washer of the band.
Got to wear a lot of hats,
You gotta wear a lot of hats. Yeah, just happy to be on your podcast. On
Sounds
your
good,
radio
man.
Chat, whatever you want to call it. A little bit about the gear, I guess that's why we're here. Right?
For sure, man.
let's-
So, can I look at the guitars first?
absolutely. You want to start with the guitars? Yeah, we'll
Yeah,
start
let's
with
do
the
that.
guitars.
Let's see the toys.
I've got probably, I think I'm up to 10, and I think if you know how many guitars you have, you don't have enough. So I'm hovering around the 9-10 mark at this point.
The formula is N+1. How many guitars
And
you
N
need.
plus one. There we go. N+1. I've always been a Strat guy. I love Stratocasters. I picked this guy up years
that
and
is
years
sexy.
ago. From some kid in Bell River who had left it in a basement in a case with a set of 52s on it, and it warped the neck. So I ended up taking the neck off it, and I wasn't even playing in bands at the time, but I did want to play it, and I did love the guitar itself. So I took the neck off it. I got a replacement neck, hung this one up for about 2 years, and believe it or not, it actually straightened back out. So the original neck is back on it. The thing I love about this guitar, Eric, is that it's got the stock Stratocaster pickups in the neck position and middle position, but in the bridge position, there's what's called a Seymour Duncan Little 59 in here, which is a humbucker, but it splits.
Okay.
And it's just got a great tone. It's got that bite to it, that bark that a humbucker gives you. Plus, it'll split into that classic kind of twangy Strat tone that everybody likes. And then I found out that this guitar was originally bought and originally owned from a great friend of mine, Greg Alsner, who played with The Source for years. And I didn't even know it until I started playing this live. And Greg comes up and goes, "Hey, that's my guitar." So I've had this sucker probably a good 10 years now. I just absolutely love it. And I've always been a Strat guy, but I had an AXL Les Paul that I was playing in with a band called Wits End that I was with for 2 years. Well, the headstock cracked, and I needed another Les Paul because we were doing a lot of like Guns N' Roses and Metallica and that sort of thing, that humbucker sound. So I found this on Facebook Marketplace. The guy wanted $125 for it, and it'd been on there for a while. And I said, "How come it's not selling?" He goes, "Nobody likes the finish." And I was looking at it, I'm like, this is the coolest finish ever, this tiger stripe.
It's pretty badass.
So, yeah, well, I love the look of it, but I was thinking, I'm gonna fix my AXL, and then this one will just be either I'll sell it or just put it in the corner and just play around with it, right? Well, I fired this up through what we're gonna go into next, and it just sounded massive. And I come to find out, like, this is a Stag Les Paul. It's a European guitar maker that has been around since the 70s. And this is a 2019 model, and it just sounds tremendous. I get a ton of compliments from other guitar players going, "Man, it just got a great tone to it." And the reason why, it's the combination of this guy with the zebra stripe humbuckers that are just three-way. These don't split, coil split. So you either got bridge, both, or a neck position. It's just a three-way switch on it. But fun guitar to play, very light, and firing this bad boy up through my pride and joy, which is my Phase amp, built by Randy Fay in Windsor. It's a dual channel, and he custom made this for me. He had the dual phonic, which this is modeled from, but that was a split channel. This one's got a switchable channel system, and he also modded the volume so you could kind of do a blend. and this thing sounds great. The high gain is modeled off his Daisy Cutter amp series, and this clean is, I believe he calls it the Corona, which is modeled off a Fender Blackface. And the combination of the two I just absolutely love, and I've been using this probably since about 2018. And this combined with that Stag guitar is just amazing. And I'm firing it through an Egnator 112.
Okay.
That originally had a Celestion Elite 80 speaker in it, which sounded good, and it was a 16 ohm, which had a little more brightness to it. I like a more darker tone all the way around for rhythms and leads. So I put a vintage 38 ohm in here, and it just warmed it up that much more and just gave it a little more beef in the bottom end. And I'm a huge fan of Eric Steckel, and he's got that Mezza Barber tone, which I absolutely love. Now I'm kind of close to it, but I'm not there. But it sounds really chunky. The other piece that I haven't seen a lot, well, Joe Bonamassa uses these things now, not exactly this sort of idea, but he puts plexiglass in front of his cabinets. The reason why I have this is because I can get a little more gain out of the amp without killing the people that are sitting directly 30 feet in front of the speaker, right? So
I'm not sure they appreciate that.
Well, yeah, and it cuts out on the beaming, plus I don't get turned down all the time. The probably final piece to the amp puzzle is this JHS master gain attenuator. Okay. So I run this in and out of my effects send and return, and this one just takes that whole power stage and just brings it down before it actually hits the speaker master output. And I got, if you look down here, I've got this master just reamed and just a lot of balls out of the amp, yet at a real low volume that everybody's comfortable with. Now the second part is I'm using 2 amps. This second amp is a Fishman loud box,
an acoustic amp,
and it's this acoustic amp. Exactly. It's a 2-channel, and as you can see, I've got 2 channels both utilized here. The reason for that is we're going to go over to my pedal board.
Okay.
And then we're going to see what's up with that. For the pedal board,
you got some hardware.
Yes, we got some hardware. So for the pedal board, we'll get back to that Fishman in a second. So I've got a vocal processor, which is a Voice Live 2 that I've had for years and years. The reason why I use that is that because we do a lot of times our own sound. And I can control the delays, like by when I need to talk to the audience, I just shut the reverb or the reverb and delays off, right? And then I can talk, and then I put them back on there. Also, we use some harmonizer processing sometimes in various songs, like a Queen song, which is 4-part harmony, and we need those. But it doesn't really, that stuff doesn't, maybe 1 or 2 songs out of our 45 song set. That other than this, there's some compression in here, there's some gating, so that's why I use this vocal processor for my vocals. For the guitar processing is a Pod Go, and basically a lot of this, if we get into the setups, basically there's some compression, some EQ, some delay, and some reverb, and that's pretty much it. I don't there's not really much else that, you know, it's just basically an all-in-one kind of pedal board. Okay. So that's that. But getting back to the Fishman, so there's 2 lines running over to that Fishman. We do like Deep Purple, we do Head East, we do songs like The Doors, like stuff that needs keyboards, right? So I run a B9 pedal, which gives me a complete B3 Hammond organ sound, and I run that independently into the Fishman, and I blend that in with my actual guitar tone. So that gives it that Deep Purple John Lord sound that we need for the Deep Purple stuff. And then 2 songs, we do Hocus Pocus by Focus, okay, right, which is a banger. And we also do Logger and Ale by Kim Mitchell. And the leads in those also are combined with the synth player in those bands. So I've got what's called a, I think this is a Synth 9. Yep. I've got all this stuff taped up, but that gives it that synthesizer sound on top of the lead that gives that impression. And the real big thing, I mean, we do a 70s Heroes of Rock tribute that we pay tribute to all the great 70s power trios. We're not trying to duplicate it in any way, but pay tribute to those songs. So we want to get it as, a little more authentic sounding. And other than that, I've got a wireless, just a very basic wireless system. This is Swift Audio. You can get into wireless systems that are like $1,200, $1,500. These are under $100. And these are really, really great units. The sound degradation is almost non-existent. And I might go through one of these sets, but they last for maybe a year and a half before they just get beat up and don't work anymore. But for under $100, how can you go wrong, right?
That's awesome.
And other than that, vocal mic, I use a Sennheiser 757 for my vocals. On my guitar cabinet itself, there's a Sennheiser 409, and then on the Fishman, I use a 58.
That's awesome.
So that's the whole rig rundown. But you got to see the stuff that's in the studio, in our recording studio. That's where the real historic and famous pieces are. Just for an example, my whole studio is based on a Pro Tools 10 system, which came out of Metalworks Studio out of Toronto. So everybody from probably Prince to Guns N' Roses to Celine Dion have played through that rig at one time when they were in the studio, because they were there. And then I've got 3 racks of 4-channel mic preamps that were specifically built by Bob Lanois for Sean Drover, the Megadeth drummer, who then turned them over to Glenn Drover, the guitar player for Megadeth, who then sold them to me, and they're in the Indie Basement audio recording studio. So we track all of our drums, a lot of our records through those famous pieces of gear.
So I'm going to have to, Jimmy and I were actually chatting a little earlier for those who are watching. I'm going to make a point of, if you're cool with it, going up to your studio. I'd love to see exactly what you got going on.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. It's always amazing what's in your backyard.
Yep.
Now I do have a question for you.
Sure.
Okay. So you're using a lot of like multi-effects modeling units, correct?
This one does have amp modelers, but I don't use them. I use the effects just like if you've had 4 or 5 guitar pedals in a row, like delays and reverbs and compressors and EQs, but it's all in one box.
So that's what I was going to ask.
Right.
So it's a lot easier probably just to use something like this than just like a bunch of different pedals.
Yeah. I'm not really into the whole amp modeling thing. For whatever reason, I'm just a tube amp guy, and there's just that power behind you and just roaring in your ears and stuff like that. That to me just sounds more authentic, especially since we're doing 70s stuff and there was no amp modelers back then.
Very true.
So yeah, sometimes the amp sounds great, sometimes the amp doesn't sound so good, but that's just the nature of the beast.
Well, and you gotta love like that roar. Like honestly, like if you're ever playing on stage, you can just feel it behind you. Like it pushes a lot of air.
Oh yeah, yep. And there's just something that the speaker working with the pickups, and you get that feedback loop, and then the notes just sustain. And you just can't beat that.
For sure, man.
Yep.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Jimmy. I can't wait to see you guys rock out tonight.
Absolutely, man. It's going to be a blast. We're going to fire it up.
Kick some ass.
All right. Thanks, brother.
Thanks.
Hey, folks. I am here with the Rose City Rockers. This is Gear Up, Rose City Rockers, Sandy's Guitars. How you guys doing today?
Great.
Great.
Yeah?
How you doing? Thank you for having us.
Oh, thanks for agreeing to be a part of it. So I just want to get everybody's names first. So,
Okay, so I'm Michael Muscat. I'm the bass player.
awesome.
I'm Joe Riem, I'm the drummer.
Awesome.
And Jimmy G, vocals and guitar.
Sounds good. Now, Joe, I know, again, we talked about this. Like, I don't, like, drums I don't usually include on the channel. I love the drums, but, to be fair, drummers just hit things. Right?
That's not giving us much justice, that's for sure. Because
In Joe's case, he hits it properly, though.
without us, there's nobody driving the train.
You know what? You guys, you make them dance. You make them dance. You can't take anything away from that. Okay? All right, so got a couple questions here for you guys. Let's start talking. How did you guys all meet?
Okay, well, this whole Rose City Rockers thing goes back to about 2016, where it was just a one-off show. And as the years progressed, then the lockdown happened, and I had my studio, and I was sitting around going, now what do I do with myself? And I'm like, hey, I got a studio. Let's just start recording songs. So at that point, I started bringing in local musicians, and the Rose City Rockers name seemed to fit because it was all musicians from the Rose City. And then as time progressed, I started thinking like it would be great to actually make this a live project. Went through a bunch of musicians, nothing just seemed to stick. And then one day I was out at a bar and I ran into my good brother Joe, who we had played in a band called The Fashion way back in the 80s. And we hadn't seen each other in what, probably at least 25
plus years for fun.
Yeah, at least. So I said, hey, what are you doing? He said, hey, what are you doing? I said, I'm putting a band together. I need a drummer. And he goes, well, okay, let's get in the room. And we started jamming. We had another bass player, but unfortunately he had other commitments. So we're still looking for bass players. And as fate would have it, I got this Facebook message one day from a guy that I didn't know, but he's like, hey, you play through a phase amp. I'm looking to buy one. Can I come and try it out? And I'm like, sure, come on over. Well, the next thing you know, we're in the basement. He's trying it out. He loves it. We're chit-chatting. Everything, is great. We get along great. And as he was leaving, he says, so I'd love to come and see you play. And I said, well, we're looking for bass players, so we're not playing anywhere. And he goes, well, I play bass too. So as fate would have it, that led us to Mr. Michael Muscat.
Yep.
Lo and behold.
Yeah, and then so what happened was we gave him some songs, and we lit into the very first one, which was Day of the Eagle, and which is not an easy song to play. It's a pretty good banger, and it was just magic from the first round of the first intro. So yeah, and here we are over a year and a half later, still banging it out and having more fun than ever.
That is awesome, guys. So I did notice, like I looked at some of your music, and you do cover shows.
Yes,
okay.
we kind of based the band to get out there. We thought we need a focus. So we are all 70s blues rock fans. So we thought, well, we'll do a tribute to the 70s because there's British Beat with the 60s, there's 80s Gone Wild. There's a bunch of bands like 89X that do a tribute to the 90s, but nobody was doing just a 70s show, so that's what we focused on at first.
Okay, and that probably led you into, you kind of lead me into it, like your original stuff.
The
too.
originals. Well, so it was my harebrained idea that we should compete in this kind of blues competition where the grand prize was to be sent down to Memphis to play amongst the big guys down there.
Sounds pretty cool.
Yeah, and world competition, blah, blah, blah. But we needed to make it out of the first round, which the competition, ironically, was held here at the Lion's Head. So we talked to a couple of bands who had been in the competition before, and they said, listen, if you really want to have a chance at winning this stuff, you should play your own music too. Because we were just going to put together 6 blues songs and be done with it. So we started writing songs, and the very first one was called Going Down to Memphis, since that was the grand prize anyway. And it just went from there. And I think, what did we play? We played at least 4 originals.
Oh, yeah, we
right?
did four,
Yeah, we did 4 originals for the contest, which was really good. And I think one of the ending songs was Going Down to Memphis, and it's kind of like our title track,
Kind of our flagship song.
our flagship song. And
Well, it was our first debut, right? It was our first debut, was Going Down to Memphis, and suitably titled for the competition.
Since that's where we were hoping to go.
Yeah, that was the intention primarily.
Yeah.
Unfortunately,
we came in second place.
We came in second.
Well, that's pretty good.
Yeah. Well, and truth be told, they had a ringer that was already kind of predestined to go anyway. So it was, yeah.
But the beauty of it is that it launched the idea and the concept of us doing originals. And without having that opportunity, who knows if we had actually would have went that direction. So it was actually a kind of a blessing that that happened, because it really, again, it just kind of really stepped us up into playing originals. And we said, hey, we're not going to end here. Let's keep it moving. Let's keep the train moving. And we started writing more and more as we went along.
So that is a great segue. I want to know what your songwriting process is like. How does that go?
That's a great question.
Well, it starts off with, hey, I got an idea. Listen to this.
Okay.
Pretty much. And throws it out there,
right?
yeah.
Somebody has a lick and it's like, It's like, all right, well, I hear this and I hear that, and Joe puts a beat to it, and Mike brings in his bass expertise.
Yeah,
and
I think it's a collaboration. I mean, Jim is really versed at, because he's creating those melodies. So he'll come in with the idea. He's usually the first one to go with the launch of, hey, I got this lick, or I've got this riff I'd like to try and see what we can do with it, see if we can expand on it. And that's usually what happens. We just kind of mastermind when we sit there together, and Jim will put the lick together, and then Joe will make that get a beat going, and then I'll follow suit with him, because him and I kind of work hand in hand, and I try to lift that, and I try to lift Jimmy's melody. And then you know what, a lot of times it comes, and it just comes fairly simple. Once we start rolling, we can get a good feel of where the song's going, and the process worked great.
Well, I have to say, I got to throw a compliment out at you guys. I saw you, Joe, and you guys were tight.
Thank you.
You guys, the rhythm section, you guys are strong.
Thank you very much.
That was
Appreciate
actually
that
really
compliment.
remarkable.
Thank you very much.
Okay?
Very important in a three-piece band to sound full.
Well, Jim always has
Exactly.
what's the thing he says?
Kind of our theory is that Mike and Joe are the axle and the wheels. I'm just the grease.
I've always liked that concept, so I've always thought it was funny.
But no, I completely agree with you. So, you know what? That's actually an interesting question. So, as a three-piece band, okay, how do you find that challenges how you play? Does it change in how you play? What effect does that have on your role?
For me, it's learning, and these guys heard me say it a million times, is learning to appreciate the notes I don't play, believe it or not. It's because it's very important with a three-piece band to make sure that we're actually lifting the melody properly, and doesn't get too lost in the sonic spacing. So where Jim's at, I make sure I'm kind of between Jim and Joe as far as lifting the melody and making sure it's really nice and tight. And I think simplicity becomes key at that point. There's always room for flair, but it has to be done in a tasty manner, in a tasty way. And Jim with the writing and the melody, sometimes we give him that opportunity, because it's really what people sing along to, and the bass or just feeling. So for me, it's simplicity and learning how to play the notes you don't need to play.
Nice.
Yep, we ground it. Mike and I ground it, and Jimmy gets to play on top of it. And
It sounds great.
we
It
open up
works.
the doors for him, and again, we're the solidness on the bottom. It's like building a house from the foundation up, and without a foundation, you can't build a house.
Oh, absolutely. I think, and basically, this is something that I've observed the whole time, especially with our originals. Is the way you two guys work, you seem to both hear interactive things. Where if Mike's laying off, you're coming in and kind of going, okay, I can fill it in, even if it's ghost noting on the snares or the hi-hats or something like that. And I've told Joe many times that when I get into the mixing process, the stuff that I never really notice him playing, when I'm working on the actual tracks, I'm going, holy crap, I can't believe he's actually doing this stuff. And there's all this ghost note stuff that's happening in that just really, really fills in the sound.
I frankly, the proof's in the pudding. I have to say, when I was if I wasn't watching you guys play, I would have thought there were 5 guys up there.
We get that. We hear that a lot.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you very
and
much.
thank you for
Yeah.
that.
Okay, so I got a list here. Let me see. So here's an interesting one. How does, and if it does, how does the equipment you use affect your songwriting?
Well, I'll start
that
with
one?
this,
Take
and
that one.
we'll go down the row on this. I don't know if it affects the songwriting as much as the sound of the songs we create, because we went through the gear that we're using, and the combination of the amps that I'm using, the rig that Mike is using, the drums, and how Joe plays the drums and approaches all the original songs. I think that's really what sets all of our songs apart. You guys want to add anything more to that?
Yeah, the only thing I would add is, and it's really just jumping on your point, but the simple fact that if you have the equipment, it does help in the sense that it gives you that versatility to do the things that you're able to do. You know what I mean? But it all really comes down to, when it really comes down to it, is what happens here. you know, what happens in our hands. You know, you can have all the best equipment in the world, but if you're not versed or if you're not playing, you know, you're not playing it. I mean, we talked about that earlier, actually, when we were talking about certain gear. Like, you know, we talk about Squier basses, say, or Squier guitars in general. They've come a long way. You can still make a Squier sound pretty darn amazing. You know, it all the matters of, you know, your heart and your soul and how you put it in and what you're doing when you're playing. And that goes with drums, no different. And the same thing with, obviously, with guitar and bass. We kind of go hand in hand. So
there's a certain amount of truth. It's all in the hands.
it's all in the hands, yeah.
Certain amount of truth to that. Okay, guys. So tell me a story. Tell me a memorable gigging story.
Oh, well, okay. The one that is probably going to stick in my mind forever happened right here at the Lion's Head. And there was a couple that had came out to see us a few times, and the lady, it was funny because it wasn't the husband, it was the wife, who is like a big Robin Trower fan. And she was sitting at the bar with her husband, and she's like, Robin Trower. So we thought, okay, we're going to do it. And she got so excited that she got on the dance floor. We're going into Day of the Eagle. It was like the first, we played two of them. And we weren't even into maybe the middle of the first verse that she got so involved with dancing. She backed up, tripped over the mic, the stage, knocked over my mic stand, unplugged my pedal board, shut the whole song down. And she was so embarrassed. And the only thing I could think of, I said, ladies and gentlemen, if that's not rock and roll, I don't know what is. And everybody gave her a big round of applause, and we lifted her up. And I don't know, did she take a bow? And like she was a little embarrassed, but at least we subdued the embarrassment. And people cheered her on. They thought that was the most rock and roll moment ever.
And it happened right here.
And it happened right here.
Yeah, we reintroduced the song, and we started from the top, and we started again for her, and she stayed on stage. She stayed out there with the encouragement of the folks that were left here and all enjoying the night, and we had a great time. So it just goes to show you that even sometimes of the craziest things that happen, something good can come out of it. So,
amen. So that's awesome. So you guys mentioned that, well, Joe, Jimmy, you guys were both a part of a band originally.
Yes.
So why don't you guys tell me about some of the bands you guys have been a part of?
Kind of the past history. Yeah. Well, probably the biggest band that both Joe and I were in was back in the 80s, from 84 till 89, I believe both of us were in the band called The Fashion. And we played probably about at least 45 weeks. And that was back when bands played 4, 5, 6 nighters. In everywhere around southwestern Ontario. We got to the band to the point that we were the headliners at what was called the Freedom Festival back in the day, back on Riverside Drive. We were the headliners back then for 3, 4, 5 years. And then unfortunately at the end of 89, Nirvana and Grunge happened, and then we got to the point that we won this big competition that we got a production deal with Warner Reprise Records.
Oh, wow.
I flew down to work with Tony Gross from Head East, who we backed up, and that's how I met him. Mixed the 4-song demo in the studio that was funded by Warner Brothers. And then once we got ready to hand it in, they were like, yeah, well, hair metal's out, grunge is in, we're not interested. And that was the end of it. That was the end of it.
I mean, I do like grunge.
Well, I mean, it was hugely popular. Unfortunately, hair metal was out, grunge was in. We were hair metal. That was the end of that. So.
And for me, we were kind of piggybacking almost at the time frame of where they were. We're talking about grunge metal, or at least grunge rock. I was in a band called Out of the Blue back in the, I'd say, mid 80s. We did produce 2 albums, and we were an all original band. We went a different concept and a different direction where we didn't play any covers at all. We tried to fight our way into playing and headlining places as a original band and original band only. So we were kind of limited on where we were allowed to play because they just don't give you a chance. It's really, really tough to bite into that industry, especially back then. But we still did it, and we pursued, and we actually, what we do is how we got around it in bars or in clubs is that we got a cover band to open for us. And we had them come in and do 2 sets, and we only did 1 set, but we were considered the headliner. And it did work for a little while, but we were kind of in the STP, almost in the grunge area, and a lot of our songs that we were writing were kind of in that genre. So I think that they were kind of allowing it and very limited, but they were allowing us to do that. But we had a really good time, and it was a great band, and it was 5 of us in the band, and our singer unfortunately has passed away now, but it was a really good experience, and I wouldn't change it for the world, because we recorded in Toronto at CBC Studios, so it was really, really nice to have that experience too and learn how the ins and outs of how that really works. So great experience.
That's amazing. And I mean, I gotta say, like, getting your music out there was difficult back then. It's not easy nowadays. No. That said, you guys have had a fair bit of success getting your original tunes, getting them out there and getting heard. So can you tell me about that process and maybe how it's changed since way back when?
Well, yeah. So I mean, we knew going into this that commercial radio is just a dead issue for any bands trying to get on the radio, so to speak. So the approach was to look for internet radio stations that were promoting bands. And then we started just sending stuff out. We haven't done a lot of it, unfortunately, but just because it's so vast and you kind of almost don't know where to start. I mean, there's so many internet radio stations out there now that it's an endless blue ocean, but you really don't know how many listeners they have. We stumbled on a huge radio station called Hugs 24/7. It's the largest unsigned artist network in the world. And they're broadcast in 185 or 190 countries. They've got listeners, and I guess their streams are somewhere about 250,000 a month. So I mean, there's a lot of people listening to this radio station. We just said, well, what the heck, it's free to just throw them a song and see if they'll play it, and we did. And then that was going down to Memphis. It started going up the charts to the point that it was number 2 on their top 200 for over 9 weeks.
Holy crap.
And then our second single, She Feels Good in My Hands, is it got up to, I think, it's up to, I think it got as high as number 8. I think it's about number 13 right now. I'm not really sure. But I just got hecked from the radio station because you guys need to push it, these songs. And even I was listening last night, they played both songs and they're like, these guys need to be number 1, everybody vote for them. Right? So yeah, they're huge fans of the band. They really push it, and who knows where it's going to go from there.
Well, I'm going to do my part. Anyone who's watching this, check out Rose City Rockers. I will be including their social media links in the description.
Absolutely.
So that can help direct you to some of their original music. Now, going to go a little bit further. You guys, I've seen online, you guys actually have a couple of music videos out. I think I saw 3 or 4 of them, right?
We've got 3 out so far. We're going to be working on a 4th. Going down to Memphis obviously was the first one, and these are all on YouTube. She Feels Good in My Hands was the second single, and then Cowboy Blues is our latest single. Good Day is going to be coming out in October.
That's awesome. Well, I do have a couple questions though. Well, at least one anyway. I want to know about that process. Like, how did you go about? Because I mean, like, a lot of bands starting out, like, they might be thinking of doing a music video, but how did you make that happen?
Well, that's kind of a ironic story too. I have a studio in my house called Indie Basement Records. It used to be a commercial studio, and back in the 90s, I was recording everybody in southwestern Ontario. One band called, and I can't remember the name of the band, but one of the players was Shane Ivey in the band, and
that rings a bell.
Yeah, so his name all of a sudden came up on Facebook, and I was like, hey, I seem to remember this guy. Well, then I get a message from him, and he's like, hey, Jimmy, do you still have like one of master recording of this band, which was his band that he recorded in my studio? And I said, well, go and let me look. So I went down, I found it. He said, can you send me a copy? I said, I'll do one better. I'll remix it and then send it to you. And I said, so what are you doing? He goes, I'm in the video production business now. I said, oh, well, we're just so happening to look for somebody to do our first video. So it went from there. We've had a great relationship. They've produced all of our videos so far.
Media.
HI Media with Ricky Hamill and Shane Ivey. And these guys are so good. And they work with a lot of bands.
Well, HI Media, I'll tell you what, I'll actually include a link to them in the description as well.
Yeah, it's actually HI Multimedia.
Multimedia.
Just so you know.
HI Multimedia?
Just to correct that, yeah.
Okay, no,
We've worked with them exclusively since the video started. They've
Well,
been our
I'm-
go-to guys.
The great guys.
I gotta say, like I saw the video quality and it's pretty damn good.
Oh,
Absolutely.
yeah,
I was
they're good at what
really
they do
impressed.
for sure.
Absolutely, they really know what they're doing.
Well, that's amazing.
Yep.
Sometimes serendipitous. Is that the word?
That's a good one.
Works.
Yeah, it works for me. So this question, Mike, I'm gonna go to you.
Okay. Shoot.
So before the show, I saw you had an issue with your amp.
Correct.
Okay. So I was wondering, as a band, and everybody else can chime in on this too, but how do you deal with equipment malfunctions? Because Murphy's Law, right? Things are going to screw up.
I call it the 2 P's. Patience and prayer.
Absolutely.
You don't know where it's going. You got to kind of dissect the issue. In my case, it just happened to be that the connection to my cabinet, there was an issue there, so I had to pull the panel in the back and kind of look. And for some odd reason, I pulled it out and looked, and all the connections were still there, and the little gremlins must have floated away. And I got lucky in this point where it got working again. But you've got to be prepared. Like sometimes it's something small. You guys just trace the issue and find out where it may be coming from. Sometimes you've got to figure out a backup. You've got to be ready to do something, whether it's get another instrument, or if you have to hopefully have enough time before your gig to maybe get another amp, or you just have to be prepared. I mean, these things happen all the time to everybody. It's inevitable that's going to happen. It's just patience and prayer. Really, what it all takes. It's just taking the time to look and see what the issue is. Jim's had, challenges in his time, and with all his equipment that he's got going, and he's doing the tap dance of life on that pedal board. I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on there that need to be always on its game, and if there's one little thing that's a little off, it can definitely cause a series of issues if you're not careful. So,
In my
patience
case,
and
from a
prayer.
drummer's perspective, I just make sure I have a spare snare drum and a spare bass drum pedal.
Broke yours.
Because it happened. It happened just
snare
last
broke.
week when we were doing a show out in Wheatley. I broke a snare drum, and fortunately I had a spare. If I not had a spare, we would have been in. It was two or three songs into the first set, so it would have been a rough
night.
one. Yeah. So
Would have been rough.
So yeah, you just prepare. You prepare for the inevitable, because it is going to happen. Especially the amount of shows we've been doing. We've been busy, very busy this summer. So, we've been putting a lot of mileage on our gear, and you're constantly moving it, and it's banging around and slugging and constantly.
Unfortunately, we don't have trailers and rigs and crew.
Even
to back
cases,
us up.
for that matter.
Cases. Yeah.
But we deal with it. That's all. We deal with it with smiles on our face. We don't let it bring us down, and we don't let it ruin our show. We, again, like Mike says, patience and prayers, and we just deal with it and get through it.
Well, that's awesome. So I got an interesting question here, okay? And I like to throw this at bands just to frankly throw them off a bit.
Too hard sometimes.
So, what are some non-musical skills that you think that musicians, particularly if they're going to be gigging, okay, need to have?
Okay.
Whoever wants to go.
Yeah, I'll go ahead. One of the very first things that I always goes into my head is communication. You need communication with band members. We've got to be able to communicate with each other when things are starting to go off the rails, to when we're just trying to get things logistically done before we perform. Also, we need to communicate really well if we have a crew with us, like a sound guy. We have to be able to communicate with him. Communicating with the bar or the venue that we're at to make sure that everything's copacetic and ready to go. So I think just to wrap that part of it, it's really important to have the communication skills. Number one. The other thing I look at, and I think I kind of talked this kind of off the air a bit, is your humbleness. Remember to stay humble no matter where you're at and what you're doing in life, because we'll be on stage playing, and as you know, especially if you're playing out of town, you become a little bit larger than life. Doesn't matter if you're a big name or not. And a lot of folks will come to you and wanted to say, hey man, you guys did a great job. I loved your show and everything. And it's just remember to stay that grounded and to stay humble and really appreciate them, because without them, we're not doing this for anybody, right? So we really appreciate when everybody's out there. So one of the important non-musical things I've always said is to always remember to be where your feet are and just stay grounded.
I love it. Anyone else?
I would just input patience is a big one too, because when stuff does start to go off the rails, like as Mike used for a description, without it ruining the night, you just have to be patient and just deal with the issues and not have it. Keep focused and just deal with it and just get through it. And we've been fortunate enough, we've had some issues and we've always just dealt with it and just gone through it and worked it out, and without it affecting our show, without it affecting our playing, without, trying to stay focused and patient.
Amen.
Yeah, and I'll just jump on what you were saying, patience and communication and perseverance, because like if trying to put a band together and you just have all these big grandiose dreams and see where it's going and where, what the possibilities are and all that stuff, and then you realize, like AC/DC said, it takes 10 years to be an overnight success, right? So
I never heard that. That's pretty good.
Right? Oh yeah. Well, it was funny. It's just like the joke that some radio station host asked Angus one time, it's like, how's it feel to like be accused of making 12 albums that all sound identical? He goes, I take great offense to that. We've made 13 albums that sound all identical. But it's so true. I mean, you look at all the biggest bands in the world, like AC/DC, man, they were slogging it out for like probably 10, 15 years before they got huge. We're still only a year and a half into this. I mean, we're still quote unquote like a baby band in the grand scheme of things.
Well, I was looking at like some various, like higher up like musicians, like Chris Stapleton, a good example.
Sure.
That guy was right, like he became big, I'd say early 2010s, maybe like 2015-ish.
Right.
But like if you look at his history, he was writing songs for people for like 15 years. Okay, and
before anybody knew him. Right?
Yeah. So yeah, you just gotta, slog through it and enjoy the process.
Enjoy the process. I think that's the biggest thing.
So, one more question, guys. What advice would you have in general for a musician just starting out or a musician who's about to start gigging?
Well, I would say, number one, never quit.
Okay.
Don't stop. Just keep playing. I mean, we've heard this advice from a lot of musicians out there and that are seasoned. There's going to be days you're going to want to, whatever instrument that it is that you've had the joy or the inspiration to play, just never stop. If you have it in your heart and you want to play. Just give yourself that chance and take the time, and you can learn from others, and just keep playing. Just don't
others
stop.
And Sandy's guitars.
And Sandy's guitars. That's right. That's right. Yeah, it's just a matter of just a perseverance and to keep going. I mean, it happens to all of us. I mean, we'll look at sometimes and we lose our our patience with our playing, our ability to do something, and we just got to keep moving. Just keep playing. That's all I have to say. Just never stop.
Perfect.
Personally, I think learning proper technique is very important. Practice regime is very important. The more you practice, the better you get. That's true for anything in life. If you have the dedication and the love for it. But learning proper technique is very important, because if you start learning incorrectly right off how can you improve on yourself when you started in the wrong direction? But we're in a day and age now where we have the internet, so there's so much educational tools out there now that we didn't have growing up. We had to, me personally, I learned to read, basic reading anyway, out of books and learn that way. Whereas now there are it's so broad with the internet and videos, and you can see all your big name players. We used to listen to records and just have to learn how to play just off a record. Now you could see the guy performing the song and see, oh wow, I never realized how he did it, but
Absolutely.
It's endless right now for the up and coming youngsters, for sure, with the internet and the videos and the educational tools available to them. It's endless.
So on that note, a little shameless self-promotion. I actually have an upcoming video where I'm going to be talking about some relatively unknown YouTube channels where you can actually learn some interesting things from them. Okay?
Probably my I don't know if it's advice or anything, but my thoughts are like, be true to what your goals and your visions are. And it's perfectly okay to be the bedroom guitarist or you know, be the guy that just wants to get in the basement or the garage with a bunch of guys and just jam out on a Friday night with a case of beer type of thing, or you know, be wanting to play in the bars and do a cover band and be a kind of a dad hobby band. I think to a man, like, we didn't really start this with a huge vision. Well, maybe I did a little bit more than these guys, but with this grand vision of we're going to make this into something that is really recognizable, but it's morphed into that. And I think we've kind of stuck to our guns as opposed to, well, we could play a whole bunch of shit and just play for everybody and trying to please everybody. Or we could stick to our guns and have a vision and just go out there and go, we don't care if other people don't like it, and you know, we're just going to stick to it and we're just going to play it. And as a result, we've got a bigger following than I think we ever expected, right? That's awesome. Because people are going, holy crap, man, we can't believe that you guys are playing this stuff. And the coolest thing, and I know the guys would agree, is that when we're on stage and we're playing the stuff that we love to play, but then we play our own music and it goes over way bigger and packs the dance floor even way more than the songs that, you know, we're covering by other bands. That at the end of the day, that's probably the biggest thrill that I ever get.
I love it. Okay, guys, so tell me where we can find you for social media.
Well, first and foremost, our website is therosecityrockers.com. On the top menu, there's an actual social tab where you can click that, and then it's got links to all of our social media. The two biggest social media platforms are Facebook. We've got a page, plus we've got now a fan group called the Rocker Army on Facebook. Love it. Yeah, and it's growing. We're introducing more and more people. Like pretty much every week, we're adding 4, 5, 6 people. Our YouTube channel is growing. It's where all our videos, plus we've got live takes and outtakes and that sort of thing. We're starting to grow our Instagram and TikTok, but there's so much social media out there that you can't keep up with it. So we've decided just kind of narrow it on Facebook and YouTube at this point, plus our website. And you can find where our all our shows are from our website. Just go to tour dates on the top menu, and all of our shows are listed there too.
That's actually a good question. What's a big show you guys got coming up?
Probably coming up is the Fortress, which is going to be the first time we've played in Chatham at the Fortress, which is a really cool bar. The full professional stage, professional sound, professional lights, professional sound man, and they get a lot of really great bands in there. And what we found, and not to disparage the Windsor audiences at all, but we find once we get out of Windsor and like Chatham, Sarnia and beyond, like people are still big live music fans. So you know, that's where we're broadening our horizons.
That's amazing, guys. All right, well, listen, thank you so much for agreeing to be on this. You guys sound great. All right, I was actually hoping to do a blues rock band pretty soon, because I'll be honest, it's kind of my personal favorite.
We'll do a show together.
I'm down.
There you go.
Anyway, thanks again, guys. All right.
Thank you for having us.
This is once again the Rose City Rockers on Gear Up with Sandy's Guitars. Check them out. All their social media links will be in the description of the video. Like, share, subscribe.
And buy our merch. we need the money to support this thing.
Yeah. Shameless plug.
And on that note, take care, guys.
Bye.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Yep. You know, I got to tell you, I kind of cut my teeth when I was coming up in music on blues rock, so it was a lot of fun to actually catch up with a blues rock power trio right here in Windsor. The Rose City Rockers, thank you guys. That was amazing. I had so much fun meeting with you guys, checking out your gear, and just sitting and chatting with you. A couple of things I wanted to talk about that I want, you know, younger musicians to kind of take note of. One of the things that they talked about was actually how they all came together. You may have noticed that all the guys, well, they'd played in other bands before, but then when it came time to form a new band, they actually had old members that they had met. That's something you need to keep in mind. If you're going to be playing music, it's a community. You're going to meet so many people. I have so many musician friends, it's not even funny. And you have to build that up. You have to build that community. And if that, it's the only way to be successful. Sometimes, like if I can't make a gig for whatever reason, something comes up, a bar's going to look a lot more kindly on me if I say, hey, I got a couple buddies of mine who are down to play and can fill in for me for the night. They become your friends, they become your brothers, so build up your music community. Now, the other thing I took away from this meeting with the Rose City Rockers was actually the need to be adaptable, okay? You may remember from when I sat down with the guys that they mentioned that they knew. I asked them about how it was getting their original music out there, and they said, yeah, it's changed from when they were performing back in the 80s and 90s. They knew they had to go digital if they were going to be able to get their music out there. So they did. They took advantage of various options that were available. Bottom line, if you're going to be a musician, you have to adapt. There's always new technology. Music is getting dispersed in different ways. Adaptability is key. And the third takeaway that I took from meeting with Rose City Rockers is the importance of having strong communication skills. I know I sound like your high school teacher, but it is the truth. Okay, particularly if you're going to be in a band. You have to know how to communicate with your band members, and you need to know how to communicate with the public. Okay, people are going to come up to you. I've personally had it too. I've had people come up to me in Walmart of all places. Hey, I saw you play. And like, you have to know how to kind of interact with them and be humble, of course, but also you have to learn how to interact with your fans, the people who are following you, because ultimately they're the ones who are going to make you successful. Anyway, thanks for watching. This has been the latest episode of Gear Up. If you're in a band in Southern Ontario or you're coming out to Windsor, please let me know. I would love to feature you in a future episode. Once again, I'm going to include links to all the guys' social media, so please check them out, like and subscribe to them. They even have a YouTube channel. And a little shameless self-promotion. Okay, I'm on Twitter, I'm on Facebook, I'm on TikTok, I'm on, what's the one I'm forgetting? Instagram, I'm on that too. So please like and subscribe to Sandy's Guitars, okay? And let me know if there's a band you want to see or if you want to be a part of it. Please share the video, you'd be helping me out a lot. Anyway, guys, thank you. Have a great night. Take care.